All right, Griz Nation, we are back. This is Fight on Montana. Like always, make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get the podcast. You can find us on Apple, Spotify. Most of you get us through Apple, but we are there for your listening pleasure as well. So get us there, rate, review, and subscribe. You can also find us on YouTube if you want to see these awesome mugs uh, visually. I don't know if you want to do that, but hey, if you do, go check out the FCS Fans Nation Network. They have great podcasts that are visual there. You can rate, review, and subscribe there as well. You can also comment on those too. But yeah, we had some football. But before we get into football, guys, where we're going to talk about UC Davis and Idaho State, let's get into some of the other sports that are they need to get some recognition too. So let's go to volleyball. So anything with the neighbors down the way we need to give attention to, but volleyball just annihilated a sweep for the women volleyball team 3-0 last Friday, right before the football game, homecoming football game, to take that Continental Divide trophy, which, why is it a bell? Do you know why it's a bell, Luke?
They talked about it last year. I cannot remember why it's a bell.
Okay.
I happened to be in town for one of the home games last year when we beat them, and man, it's just, I mean, it's as big as anything else when our girls beat them. And this year, I think this was the fourth time in a row we beat them.
Yeah,
and we swept them.
Yep.
I mean, I mentioned this online or on Twitter. I feel like our volleyball team's full of badasses. Those girls are awesome, and they were just out there kicking ass. And if you haven't seen it today, the University of Montana put out a hype video from that with Riley's call and stuff, and it gets you fired up.
That's
awesome.
Yeah, well, and they have a game this Thursday in Greeley, Colorado. It is on ESPN Plus, so if you guys can go down to Greeley, go check it out, support them. They're doing really well. Their overall record is 6-9. Their conference record is 2-1. So Coach Lawrence has that program really reeling and doing a good job. So definitely go take the time and watch. Also, soccer, a program that is always on the rise, that has been legit for a while. Had some games. They were in, I believe, Eastern Washington on either Saturday or Friday. My computer is having a slow time.
I think they were Thursday and Sunday.
It was Thursday and Sunday. Yeah. So Thursday they tied 1-1 on Thursday, and then Idaho, they went to Moscow and won 2-0, which, Idaho is a pretty good team. If you don't follow the Big Sky Conference, a really good
Vandals
team.
Have a really good girls soccer team, and
they do
beat them like that. I think there was one goal too that one of our girls headed in.
Yep.
I saw. Yep. That was pretty awesome.
So this week, Thursday, like you, Luke, said, Thursday through Sunday. Thursday, they are at home against Weber State at 3 p.m. And then on Sunday, it's a 1 p.m. kickoff in Missoula against Idaho State. If you guys can't get it to Missoula, those are on ESPN Plus. So go check them out before they're on their way on another road streak the next week. So go check them out as well. And just amazing program. They scheduled hard this year and really proved, beating the likes of Oklahoma, tying Ohio State, Georgia Southern, they had a close loss. Colorado, they had a close loss. They tied Oregon State. Those are big programs, and to competitively be on keel with them is just a huge thing to be.
Yeah, and soccer's getting more popular all the time. And I mean, if you like soccer at all, watch these girls. They're fun to watch.
Oh, and they're gritty, man. Some of those girls, man. I'm like, oh man, I would not want to mess with them because they could kill me in soccer. It's not even. Oh man. So yeah, let's get to football. We had Idaho State this weekend, man. It was a win.
Yeah.
And surprisingly enough, it was 28-20, which if you go back to last year, that's the same score.
Was it the same score?
2 years in a row. 28-20 was last year and this year.
Did not realize that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we could have popped it in there at the end again, and Houck decided to go on the knee because, I mean, as we know, he's friends with the Hawkins family. So I feel like he was just like, victory formation. And at 28-20, don't do anything stupid trying to push it in and fumble the ball or have something happen. It's like, just take the victory formation and get the heck out of there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's go into some of the stats, guys, and give our thoughts, our opinions. I'm just going to give you the rundown of the stats.
Sure.
So those of you that out there that don't have them in front of you, University of Montana had 174 rushing yards, 3.4 average. And ISU had only 45 rushing yards, but they actually had, if you look at their average, they actually averaged more than us, 3.5. Passing, we were at 220. They were at 289. But we had a larger average at 12.2, and they had 9.3.
And that's all they do is pass. I mean, that's their thing.
Yep.
So that's not
total
bad holding them under 300 yards passing.
No, that isn't. And they were averaging over 300 yards. Yeah. So pretty good. Did get caught on some coverages, but you live to kind of this defense. You kind of do that, right? With an offensive force like that, you take your lumps and you just bend, don't break.
Yeah.
Penalties, man, I have been this is kind of beginning to be a trend with penalties. 9 penalties for 72 yards, which isn't usual. Very undisciplined play lately. That's just kind of glaring to me.
There's a couple penalties that happened that sometimes I think you can kind of overlook a little bit. It's a penalty, it sucks. But like there are penalties with our guys smashing someone to the ground, or our tight end with that crackback block. It's he shouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
boy, it's hard not. I mean, like back years ago, you could do that, and it was highlight film stuff, and now you just can't. I understand it's the safety thing, but oh man, it's just like those are drive killers, and so you got to be more disciplined and stuff. But at the same time, after last week too, when we didn't feel like we were playing with the aggression we needed to see some of that doesn't bother me that much. I think it's like seeing guys being more aggressive, because I'm sure the coaching staff called them out on not being aggressive enough, and I definitely saw some guys flying around more, especially on our offensive line. Felt like they were doing some more stuff out there than they did. They looked a lot better than they did the week before.
Yeah. And then possession, we had the ball for 34 minutes. We were 5 of 12 in the red zone, or 5 of 12 on third down. Goodness, didn't have any sacks. We did pressure them enough and got their quarterback sometimes where he was able to kind of, and they did a really good job of that, of getting their quarterback on the run and going away from the line. And he was just smart enough as a freshman to get away from it and throw it when he was thinking he was going to get hit. So, but they won that category 3-0. So
that quarterback was really good.
He was.
There was times when I thought, oh, we got him here. Like there was one with Wilson was back this week.
Yep.
And I thought he had him, and just, shook him off, and because he was arm tackling, trying to grab him, and just shook him off, and it was like, oh man, And there's just he's slippery and sneaky, and to see that out of a freshman, if I'm Idaho State, I'm feeling pretty good about our future with that kid.
Yeah, lock him up, because man alive, as a freshman to have the know-it-all, he's 6'4". He's a big quarterback, man, and to have him on your side.
Yeah, he played way better than I thought he would, and and in the environment too, it didn't seem to shake him. So I was really impressed with that kid.
Yeah, I was too. I was very impressed. And then also just we got it to Bergen, 7 receptions, 100 yards. McDowell, 13 of 20, 160 yards, 1 touchdown. He had 20 rushing yards for 66 yards. And Eli Gilman had 16 rushes for about 51 yards. So a lot of that was evenly distributed. We run so much right now. It's crazy.
Well, and again, we had a huge run pulled back from X and Gilman because of penalties. So we're killing ourselves there too.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, Luke, the line played better. You didn't see McGinnis out there at all.
No, yeah. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Brought it. I didn't want to bring that up, but from the start, I was like, okay, I was hoping they wouldn't start him because of what we all saw the previous week, where it looked like he gave up and was walking off the field while Vidlak's running for his life. And I was intentionally watching the whole game to see if he would play. Because there was as you know, I live over in South Dakota right now. Our local sports talk radio was talking about that play this last week.
Really?
Yes, all the way over in South Dakota. Wow. And bringing up and asking viewers what they thought they should do to the player and what should happen. And the poll that he put out there was sit him for a game. And so that's what we saw too. I mean, that was kind of my feeling, was like, you do that to make an example out of somebody, sit him for a game. So now what I think you got to do though is let him earn his spot back this week.
Yeah.
He's got to earn it back. Like,
he's got to earn it,
because the kids that were out there playing did a good job and they were playing hard. And so, I mean, Bobby's always talking about, you got every position's open all the time. You got to earn your position back. So we'll see if he does. I hope that's the wake up call, because you never know how it's going to affect a kid mentally.
Yeah.
And hopefully it gives him the drive and also helps other people realize, hey, that's not acceptable at the University of Montana.
No, and just being he was like a first team Big Sky, wasn't he, this year?
Yeah, I thought, he was
something first or second team.
Yeah, I think he's first team Big Sky.
Yeah. And then Liam Brown, they switched Liam Brown over there. But then also, Chris Walker started the game, but that second half he didn't play. They had Cannon Pamphilov in there that second half. And so kind of switching it up.
They were switching a lot up because there was a couple times when Pamphilov was in and then Walker was on the other side and then Casey would go out. And so they were really rotating guys through. I think maybe trying to find a line that gels your fifth game in. That sucks to hear that. But we did see some good things and you're trying to keep people fresh. And so
and that's kind of sucks going into it because that's your fifth game and you're trying to do that. Like you wish you would have done that maybe game one or game two.
Yeah. But we've been rotating guys all year. And I think sitting McGinnis makes you do more rotation and put guys around. But at the same time, if guys know all the positions on the line, if we do have an unfortunate injury or something, you're able to fill in there. And that's what I kind of saw too, is that there is that potential of, filling in if we needed to.
Yeah. Let's get into the offense.
Sure.
First possession. One thing that kind of stood out for me is again, we're still kind of doing the merry-go-round kind of running back duo of Osmo, Harris, Gilman. On that first position, we had all those guys in there, which I don't know. To me, I guess this is my perception of it, that I wish you should just go with one guy and just see what you get and see if one gets hot. I just don't know how that best suits, because like to me, it changes with what the line's doing.
Yeah,
and
it definitely does.
Each of those guys has certain things that they do well. Osmo is a bigger back; he's more physical. Harris is more the speed, and then Gilman's kind of the versatile, kind of like you can do Swiss Army knife kind of things. I just don't get it. And I know you have so much talent there, but it just bothers me right off the bat.
I mean, you're right about the line, because when you're blocking, they each hit the hole at different timing. Yeah. So as an offensive lineman, you're gonna have to know who's in there because you expect them to hit at a different time.
Yep.
So some of the reasoning behind that I guess my own thoughts is, are we trying to throw the defense off by giving 3 different backs and like, oh, now we have to adjust this, now we have to adjust this one. Now, that being all said, like if someone's hot, like I see Gilman start breaking stuff, let him go.
Exactly.
Same with Osmo too. If he starts, or even X, if they're, you go with the hot hand, I guess is the way I feel. It's
especially
with X on that day, just let him roll. Especially if the line's blocked and everything's meshing.
Yeah,
keep it going.
Well, and especially with our line troubles this year, that we haven't been really consistent enough. Like, why would you throw something else in that your line has to deal with when they're already trying to just gel and stuff? It just,
they're practicing all week with, if they're putting them out there, 3 different people, they're all getting good reps and stuff. So they got to be, I would hope you're used to it because you're practicing with it and stuff. But
yeah,
it's, it definitely, can throw off mojo and stuff, I think. And, especially if a guy's in the groove, he just, sometimes you got to let him roll.
And one of the things that we were kind of doing is just a lot of short passes, options, a lot of run. We did kind of some trick plays as well. Sawyer Recanelli did a beautiful pass. Holy cow. Going to his left, and I know he's left.
I didn't realize he was going to his
left. I know. I was like, dang, sign that guy up for quarterback. Wow. That was a tight spiral and everything. So, those kind of things kind of did well for us. But I'm also the kind of inclination, if you're doing trick plays, you're really kind of grasping for straws. I don't know how you feel about that, Luke, but
I think there's two sides to that. Sometimes when you're doing trick plays, it's because you're like, oh crap, we're out of everything else.
Yeah.
I think some of this was, I think the guys, this is my own personal feeling, that the guys were down from last week because they just, we said it on the pod, we all sucked last week. So they got to have fun out there. And these trick plays, you practice them all the time. And a lot of times you might never run them and stuff. And so them getting to run like the fake punt or the Racanelli pass, that gets an offense sometimes juiced up and jazzed up because, hey, we got to do it and it was successful. And so sometimes that can really throw your momentum, and they're all having fun and they got to see it work. And so sometimes I think coaches will do that just to get the players having fun, because football's supposed to be fun, rather than just running it down there the whole time. But there's one thing I noticed that Pease was calling. He ran the same formation over and over again, and we were running our wide receiver around, faking it to him. Like we could pitch it to him, and we kept running that play. I was like, oh my God, they're setting it up. And sure enough, we did set it up, pitched it to him. He ran around, and I think we scored on that play, if I remember right. Maybe we did. We ran it around, but it was, I kept watching it, and during the game, I was like, oh my God, they're setting this up. I could see us setting it up. And then finally we ran it when everybody came down because they thought we weren't going to do that pitch.
Was that to Fonts?
I think it was to Fonts. Clifton pitches out and Fonts runs around the end for a nice gain. So it felt like, to me, we broke out a lot more of our offense this game. Like you said, Bergen's getting targeted more. We just did more. Do we want to talk about the end of the first half right now? So,
sure.
Like, quarterback play. All of a sudden, we throw Vidlak in. I was surprised. I was happy but surprised at the same time. I'm like, oh my God, he's cold. And we're just shooting our 2-minute offense. And I thought he did a good job.
I think he did a really good job not having any rhythm and not having any,
That just seems like a lot to just go, hey, go do this.
Yeah.
And then also, like, what does it do? I was like, what does that do to Clifton now? Because he was actually playing pretty good.
Yeah.
But out of all that, I do think still that Vidlak throws the better ball. Like,
100 times.
Mechanics, everything is, when we're throwing it, so much better.
Yeah.
Clifton is getting better, but there was a lot of passes
that he missed.
He just missed.
Yeah.
Like, guys wide ass open.
Yeah.
Whether it was, some of them were like bombs. They're in the flat right there. I'm like, how do you miss that so bad?
Well, and there's the passes that they're doing. Let's be honest. They're very quick throws, one step throw, or hey, I'm getting the ball and I'm throwing right away. It's
which I'm okay with, like, especially for Bergen, because he's such a playmaker and even just give him the ball in space and watch what they can do. And so
my thing is that
can work.
If you do that, a good defense is going to jump those. Because Clifton does look down his wide receivers.
Oh, yeah.
He does not look away. He knows where he's going with that, and he's going to throw it. He's going to look and just throw. And so playing a better defense, I think, is going to – because that defense on Idaho State is not good.
No, they're not.
That defense is last in the Big Sky.
Yeah.
And last in running. We should have had a whole lot more running yards than we actually had this last game. Because that defense is not good.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not one of the better defenses we faced so far either. But I do feel like our offense had a little bit more rhythm.
Yeah, a little bit more, but also after like so. And you tell me, like, I've always heard after like the first 12 plays, first 15 plays, that goes off of the non-scripted, right?
Yeah.
And so then after the scripted, it dropped. Like, for a couple drives, it dropped where we weren't getting some of the. So that kind of is alarming to me because, you can have your scripted plays and do really well. But if you're not hitting on those scripted plays, like, and you're playing a harder defense, it's going to be a long game, and you better find something.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times, just so people realize too, the script, you have scripted plays, but at the same time, you're not just looking at your script. They're looking also at like the down and distance and where you're at with the chains, and that can change that script a little bit, because just because it's on there doesn't mean that's what you're running. It's like, here's what we think. If everything goes right, this is what we're going to run. And not everything always goes right. So you hope that you can just run your script and just go down and score and be great with it. But they still do have adjustments. But you are right. Like, it did feel, after we got done with what felt like all those plays, that we had a little bit of falling off there. So
yeah, definitely. Like I said, the trick plays, I'm not a big fan of trick plays. Like, once in a while I am, we're trying to grasp at straws to get our offensive going and get kind of some confidence going. Hopefully we just don't rely on that, because I don't think long term that's going to be something that we're going to be able to do.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, like, and I've heard Bobby say this before, and other coaches too, you sometimes run a trick play just to put it on film so their team has to practice it.
Yeah, definitely.
As soon as you do something like that, you see it on film, like, oh, we get everybody ready for this thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely. And the offensive line played well. I don't think it's to the point where we need to be, but
they still have 1 week to go. But it was a much better showing than what we did at NAU.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot better. But it's gonna be interesting this week. Let's go into the defense, man.
Wait, I've got one more thing on offense. So here, I've been talking about, like, one of our quarterbacks, grabbing that and getting fired up and stuff.
Yeah.
And one thing I will say is, towards the end there, McDowell had that run where his helmet popped off. He jumped up and he had fire and stuff, and that's contagious. I was like, yes, look at this. This is what I was hoping for. Someone that's just like, we're winning this no matter what. And that was the feeling I got when he hopped up and did that. So with that, I've been high on Vidlac and stuff. I'm kind of hoping we start McDowell next week, because I'm thinking that he's going to bring the fire, to the offense and get them excited to go out there and play. So my money's on McDowell starting this week against Davis, just because of his fire and stuff, and maybe I'm thinking he gives the team a little juice there.
I think that they're gonna, when they got the win, they got the the momentum going into this one, and they're gonna probably start McDowell. I still don't really believe that you can win that way, just because you're gonna have to throw the ball when a good defense lines up and starts boxing you in. You're gonna have to be able to throw the ball. And I just don't know. And people can say, well, North Dakota State and Montana State do it, and South Dakota State do it, but they run different schemes.
Yeah,
they run. It's totally different with what we do than what they do.
Yeah.
And so I think that we need to start developing both, and not just you play a half and I'll do the last 2-minute drill. Like, give them a drive here.
More of a rotation in there.
Yeah, just
kind of like
a rotation.
What Stack was doing against us last few years, where it's like, you might see the same, them both rotating in the series, depending on that. And just, I think that throws off the defenses much more. And you can kind of get both out there. With the quarterbacks, they're playing together, with the offense. It's not just, okay, you get this half, you get this half, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see against Davis if we change things up a little bit, or if we stick with the, all right, whoever starts, you get the first half, and sort of thing. But I mean, obviously the coaching staff believes much more in Vidlac's arm, since it's 2-minute drill time and they put him in instead of having Clifton run it.
Yeah.
That said a lot. That said a lot to me when I saw him do that.
Yeah. Well, and anyone that can watch the game can understand what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He doesn't throw a great ball, but always a good thing. Defense. First half, man, they got some better pressure. The coverage was a little iffy sometimes, but we kind of went over that on how this defense is kind of going to give up some.
Yeah. We run a lot of different zones now, which allows you can get holes in there and stuff, and guys are letting other guys off of it and to move to the other position and stuff. And they got a lot of stuff underneath, which I was worried about last week, seeing the running backs coming out and the slot players and stuff. But I mean, for the most part, we did a pretty good job stopping it.
Yeah, and they did a really good job. Idaho State did a really good job of moving their quarterback. He was able to throw,
Yeah.
which with a young quarterback, I was really impressed
Yeah.
that he was able to move on the run and throw like that, like and accurately like he did. There were some instances where he threw a pick, but he did well, and especially on third down, where they were 7 of 13,
Yeah,
which
that's darn good.
that's really good.
Over 50%. That's always good.
Yeah, and so with a young quarterback, that was impressive to me. What about you?
That
What did you see?
that gets really frustrating for a defense when they're over 50% and
Yeah,
you can't get off the field. But yeah,
yep,
no, like we said earlier, he really impressed me. Because I really thought they were going to run both quarterbacks. We've seen that in the past, and
yep,
they didn't. They just stuck with the freshman, and I get why.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah, he was
right at
really
the first half where they had Hunter Hayes in there, I believe that's his name, and
yeah
he false started, or they false started, I think like twice, and pushed him out of
yeah.
really close to the goal line. I think that was. They kind of stuck with him, and I thought they would have stuck with Hayes because it was the red zone area, and they put Cook back out there, which maybe they were just like, "Oh, we're done with this.
Yeah, I mean,
We're
you
just going to
screw
go
up
with
like
him."
that, you're probably like, you know what?
Yep.
He's got the hot hand. Get him in there. He's playing well. Why did we even do that? I'm sure they
Yep.
look back now and go, we shouldn't even have done that.
Exactly.
Because you get a
Yep.
different cadence. That's the thing you got to worry about too when you're changing quarterbacks up. Is
Yep.
that cadence for the line can throw things off, and even other people too out there, and you can get false starts. And it helps that our crowds out there screaming and yelling and stuff too. It never makes it easy on the opposing offense in Washington Grizzly.
Yeah. Well, and their wide receivers did a really good job. Like we said, they rolled the quarterback out, but when they were rolling that quarterback out, the wide receivers were then coming back towards the
Mhm.
ball where the quarterback was, and they were meeting that pass, which you don't always see all the time, but they were always doing that.
Yeah.
Um, plays, quick pass plays really got the defense. I think this game where they kind of took advantage of our over pursuit
Yeah.
of guys where they would wait till we were over pursuing and just throw a quick pass and get 8 or 9 yards.
That's something with our defense, this 3-3-5 we run, because it's so aggressive and fly to the ball. And it's just our kids. They're just
Yeah,
hot to fly to the ball. That's when you can get burned, like we saw against NAU with some of their trick plays, because we
yep,
just get so overly aggressive, because you want to be aggressive, but you got to make dang sure they're not, running some kind of play action or something else so that it's going to pull you out of your position.
yeah, exactly. And then one thing is, do we get enough? Do we get enough pressure on the quarterback? Like usually the second half, by the time that we start and we're getting pressure, usually they break, right? And they did not break this time.
Yeah,
They
we
didn't break.
definitely didn't.
We didn't get to them.
Yeah, we didn't definitely get enough pressure on him. Like I said earlier, like that Riley, I thought had him Wilson, and it
Yeah,
just kind of did this Olay thing, and I was like, "What the heck was that?" It wasn't very good technique or anything, but we need to get more pressure on these quarterbacks.
yeah,
I mean, it's going to help. We do that. It's going to help our secondary and everybody.
yeah.
And
Especially this week.
yeah,
This week is going to be it's going to be very important with Miles
yeah,
Hastings, and we'll
yeah,
get to that. But ISU had a lot of missed opportunities, and I'm probably going to say something that people aren't going to like, but it's kind of in question form. Um, you know, they had a lot of missed opportunities, and that kind of makes me think. I know we won, but did we win, or did ISU just kind of lose that game because they had their opportunities where they could have taken advantage of, and we could say the same thing too, where we didn't take advantage of our
yeah.
opportunities, but it just felt like to me that Idaho State really had the momentum in a lot of that game
Hmm.
until towards the end, where we kind of took advantage of our running game and our running style and kind of just pushed us over the top.
That's interesting that you felt that way. See, I felt the opposite. I felt like no point where I was like, "Yeah, we're going to lose this game." I felt like we had control of it,
Yeah.
and that you know we were making things happen. And there was times like one times I think I was worried when I was like, "Come on, guys, quit making stupid mistakes," because we kept
Yeah.
you know getting penalties and things like that. But I, you know, I didn't feel like at any point that oh boy, this was like NAU or anything else. I was like, we got this. In fact, I was more disappointed that we didn't put more points up, and I really wanted us to go score one more time at the end just to because it helps. Like people,
oh yeah,
we get so many sports writers and stuff that just look at the score and go, oh, 28-20, geez, you know. And I felt like it was farther apart than that. I felt like we really did well, like way better than AU. Still not a perfect game, but I never at one point felt like, oh crap, she was going to beat us. I just didn't have that feeling.
Well, and this is my question to you, Luke. You tell me what, and this is kind of what I feel, so I'll throw it out to you.
Sure.
The last 2 years, so this year and last year, I feel like we play down to, and not to dismiss any of their opponents, but we play down to our opponents. So if they're bad, we play down to them. And usually if we do that back in, earlier years, 18, 19, and Bobby years, we came for those big games.
Yeah.
And last year, we didn't.
Last year was weird about
some games. And so this is going to show me this week and the coming weeks. Okay, are we just playing down to those people, or are we going to play down to some of the opponents and then we're going to play up to where we can play? Because that's how I've been feeling the last couple of years, where we just play down to those opponents.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It does feel like the last few years, like if we, have a bad opponent, we do like play down to play at their level instead of playing at that dominant level.
Yeah.
Now, exception, when we played Eastern Washington last year and beat them 63 to whatever, that was but again, that's Eastern. We like beat them.
Yeah, but that was not a good Eastern team, and they quit. They quit that game. That was
which is just fine. That's what we want to do is make it. So far this year, it does feel like that. Like I feel like I don't feel like we played down to Ferris State level. I thought that they were a good team, Ferris State.
They were. Yep.
So just Ferris State this last weekend beat Northern Michigan 78-3. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm just, Ferris State's a good football team that can put points up, and look what we did to them. I mean, I don't care what you say, that's a good team. And, we ground that one out. So, again, I agree with you, though. This Davis game I've been looking forward to all season because I felt like the first 5, I'm like, I'm not going to know who we are after these first 5 games. And I still don't. I mean, especially with the craziness we just saw this last weekend in the Big Sky Conference with, Northern Colorado was close with.
Oh gosh, that was nuts.
Yeah,
Weber State.
Yeah,
they were up on 21-7.
Yeah. I mean, and then you got, God, I got to look at the scores here because I'm trying to remember them all.
Yeah, Weber is down 21-7 in the fourth quarter to Northern Colorado. They win 28-21. Off of an interception, ran back for a touchdown.
Yeah, ran back. That's what it was. Ran back for a touchdown. We did that at the end to win that thing. And then you got, Weber State wins 28-21. You got Portland State showed up against the Cats. I mean, the Cats didn't win at 38-22, but Portland, I don't know who they are. I mean, they're all over the board.
Yep.
Idaho and Eastern Washington. Eastern was beating them for a lot of it, and then Idaho pulls away 44-36.
Yep. I'm glad we don't play Eastern Washington. We would not match up well with that team. Oh my gosh.
Eastern surprised a lot of people, a lot of teams this year.
Yeah.
But then you got Northern Arizona, Sac State. Sac State beat them 31-30.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought Northern Arizona would win that. So I mean, and then every team is so Jekyll and Hyde. I'm like, so I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, is it the fact that everybody's close to the same, or is it just like everybody's playing down to their opponent, or what's the deal? So I'm not sure. I don't know who we are yet, but I really feel like this Davis game is going to show us if we come in there like we did in 2019 when they were the number 3 team when we were 15 or whatever. We beat the piss out of them, and everybody thought we were going to go down there and lose. We went down there and opened up a can of whoop ass on them.
Yep.
So if that happens again, well, then I'm going to we'll be having a different kind of pod. We will be. But I don't know if that's what's going to happen. Like, we'll get into our scores later, but it's it'll tell us a lot after we see him play Davis this weekend. We're gonna know a lot more about who this team is, I think.
Yeah, and like probably all you Griz fans out there know, but if you don't, this is the heart of our schedule, and I'm just trying to get it up here. This is where the rubber meets the road, where we play UC Davis, and I'm trying to get the schedule up. If you have it, let me know.
Yeah, I got it right here. So we go to Davis, then we go to Idaho.
Now, do we have a bye in between there?
No.
Oh crap! I thought we had a bye.
So then we get a bye after
okay.
We go. So we go Davis, Idaho. Then week 8 we get the bye. Then in week 9 we get Northern Colorado at home.
Okay.
Which normally they'd be like, yeah, that should be easy, but look what they just did to Weber. I'm like, exactly. I don't know what the heck's going on there. So then after that game, we get Sac State at home.
Oh gosh, we need to win that. We cannot lose that one.
So
4 in a
row. Then we go to Portland State for week 11, and then week 12 is the brawl. So
if you're looking at the Portland State game is kind of worrying me right now, just because of their quarterback. Is kind of developing into something nice. Where last year we thought he would be something, but then kind of didn't do anything. Did squat versus last year.
Still kind of Jekyll and Hyde a little bit, I think. Yeah. But so we hear all those games. Out of those, normally I'd be like, okay, Northern Colorado, Portland State wins, right?
Yeah.
So we're just going to say those are wins, even though they're playing harder this year. So then you've got the Cats, Idaho, Davis, Sac State.
Yep.
Out of all those games, we need to at least go 2 for 2. If we want.
Well, yeah, because if you beat Northern Colorado and you beat Portland State, even though we're 4-1 right now, it's basically
that's 5 wins.
5 wins because of that Division 2.
The Davis win, the Ferris win doesn't count.
Yeah, so you need 2 of the last 4 games.
Yeah, so we need
the playoffs.
We need to go 2 for 2, 2-2 against the Cats, Idaho, Davis, and Sac State. That's saying that we would beat Northern Colorado and Portland State.
Yeah.
So it's that's why this Davis game is so big.
Yeah, both of those games are split. Yeah. Both of those games are split where 2 of them are on the road, 2 of them are at home. Yeah. I think even though this is probably not going to be popular right now, just looking at where we're at, we're probably that neighbor game is going to be a tough one. Yeah. I don't think that we can't, because the rivalry game, all things are out of the table. Sac State is going to have something to prove, because hey, they're going to be hungry for 4 in a row to rub that in our faces.
Yeah. Well, and Andy used to play here, their head coach.
Yeah. Yep.
And so nothing like coming into your where you played and stuff.
And then the Idaho game's on ESPN too.
Yeah.
At 8:00 at 8:30 at night. Yeah. And that UC Davis is going to be a night game too, 5 p.m.
Yeah. A lot of night games. So, and I think it's supposed to be hot down there too. Like
really
in the 90s down there in California. But with that being said, it was hotter than bejesus when we went down to St. George and we played real well. So I'm like, maybe the heat won't bother us.
Exactly.
Take the heat over elevation, apparently.
Oh man, you want to get into UC Davis?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's meet UC Davis, right? Let's go into some of their schedule, guys. They started off this year 48-10 win against Texas A&M Commerce. If you're like, oh, that's a Division II team, no, it is not. It's actually a FCS school, newly FCS school down in Texas. Then they played Oregon State, got whipped up by a really good Oregon State team, 55-7. Went back to, I think they played at Southern Utah and they beat them 23-21 win.
Oh, they were at home.
Were they at home? Okay.
Yeah.
And then lost to Eastern Washington 27-24.
Again, and you said Southern Utah, they only beat them 23-21.
Yeah.
And Southern Utah's not very good. So I'm like, what's going on there?
Exactly. But then they come back and they play a really good game at home versus Eastern Washington. And then they take care of Cal Poly, which Cal Poly don't they have that Heward kid?
I don't remember. I haven't
I
not
thought
been
they
paying
did, and I haven't seen
attention to them.
like anything about like him because he was like a high prospect. But they win that game 31-13. So they're coming in 3-2. And then they're at home, right? They've got a QB, Miles Hastings,
Yep.
which was in the preseason award list. He is turning the ball over a lot, and so that's going to be why it's really important to get some pressure on him. He's 107 of 170 for 963 yards. He's averaging about 192.6 average in yards. He's got 6 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, and I believe some fumbles as well. So he is turning the ball over this year. He's been kind of prone with that. And I was talking to Luke about this last night. They had a good running back, Van Larson or whatever, Larison or whatever, 70 attempts, 479 yards, 4 touchdowns. He ran for like 225 yards against Eastern Washington. Did not play against Cal Poly. They had Trent Tompkins. He had 19 overall in the season, 19 rushing attempts, 109 yards, and 12 of those attempts came against Cal Poly for 89 yards. So they went with him. So I think you said that you heard they were on like the third or fourth running back.
Yeah, on Saturday night I hopped on to watch little UC Davis against Cal Poly, even though they were, whooping them. But I like to see what teams look like when they're whooping or they're backing off them.
Yep.
And the announcers were saying they were down to their 4th-string running back.
Jeez.
And at that point, it was the CJ Hutton that was in.
Okay, and that's a wide receiver.
Oh, shoot, yeah. I thought it was number 1 that they had in there.
Yeah, because Trent Tompkins and CJ Hutton are a wide receivers, and so they use them. They use them to. They do a lot of like what we do is they run across. And they get those attempts.
Gotcha.
But yeah, CJ Hutton is both of those guys are wide receivers. So
it'll be interesting to see if Larison's going to play.
Yeah,
not, because if he's not, I mean, that's a big difference there. He's their go-to guy. So
and he's a good running back too.
Yeah, so that'll help us a lot if he doesn't play.
Yeah. If we can just focus on blowing up the line. Also, I heard that they had either, and I can't. I might be wrong with if it's right or left, but I know one of their guards is out for the season, and they're playing a true freshman.
Yep, I heard that too. They talked about that too on the broadcast.
Yeah, so that could be something that's kind of throwing Hastings off because I think he's calling out coverages or pass protection coverages as well, just because they're playing a true freshman.
If I'm the Griz, I'm taking Gubbs and going, hey, follow him on whatever side he's on. That's the side you're stemming to and just attacking.
Yep, blow it up. What I would do is I would just take Jared Ramos and him and just blow that hole up.
Yeah, or take Gubbs and have him hit the center and that kid, and then run our back right through, just blow him up. So that could make things a little interesting and maybe give us some opportunity to get to the quarterback there, because we're going to need to we want Hastings to have a long day.
Yeah, if you give him too much time back there, he can pick you apart.
Yeah, that's what we got. We can't have him do is sit there and get to his second and third reads, because we can't sit there and let our backers just try to stay on these guys forever. So that's when you start getting beat.
Yep. So UC Davis, they're averaging about 26 points per game, 173 rushing yards, 208 passing yards, which is kind of tricky because the last game they're not going to be running too much because they don't have a running back.
Well, the other thing they've been doing is with their wide receivers is run a wildcat, and they'll take the quarterback, put them out in the true wildcat, where they throw the wide quarterback in the wide receiver position and run wildcat. So we gotta watch that crap too.
Yep. Third down percentage, they're pretty good. They're over 40. They're about 42% for third down percentage, 50% on fourth down.
Better than
Yep. 15 of their 20 red zone attempts they've been successful at, which 11 of those have been touchdowns. And I like looking at kind of the Big Sky Conference like rankings.
Sure.
And this is just like, so if you go off of scoring, right? Offensive scoring, Montana and UC Davis are 6 and 7. So Montana's 6, UC Davis is 7.
Interesting.
Their defense, UC Davis's defense, scoring wise, is number 6. Ours is number 2. And then kind of going rushing. Okay, so rushing, we are, holy cow, we have a lot of attempts. We have the most rushing attempts in the Big Sky with 218 rushing attempts. Oh my gosh, dude. We have 218 rushing attempts, 768 yards. Montana State has 212 rushing attempts, and they have 1,600 yards.
Yeah. We're rushing the ball a lot, but we're not getting the numbers of yards there that we should be.
No. So, the offensive wise for UC Davis, their rushing is they're probably about 100 yards more than us. They also we have the number 1 defense on the rushing is for us, and UC Davis is number 3 for rushing. Passing, we are number 10. UC Davis is number 7 for offense. For passing defense, we are number 10, and UC Davis is number 7. So, if you kind of look at it, we're very kind of, if you kind of look at where we're at, there's some things where we win, some things where.
I think if you look at overall, it's pretty almost evenly pretty matched through. They're really close to each other throughout the sky there.
Yeah. And they're not too far away from, return wise, kicking wise. They're either usually right there or just a couple off. So it's going to be really interesting. Sacks against, UC Davis has the third most amount of sacks against. Sacks by, they have 10, they're 10 and 9. So we only have, we're number 9 for sacks, and they're number 10. But we're last in the Big Sky for sacks.
Maybe
for sacks against, anyways.
Okay.
So our line's not protected very well. But
no
interceptions we're number 1. UC Davis is number 6.
I think we're number 1 in the country for interceptions right now, actually.
Yeah.
I think what I heard. So I mean, even though Grady didn't get one last weekend, we had 2 other ones.
Yeah, so we have 9.
Hopefully this weekend we can get pressure on Hastings and get a couple more picks on the defense, because anytime we can steal a possession, that's huge.
Yeah, we're gonna need all the possessions we can get. It's hard to play.
We only had 10 possessions last game against Idaho State.
We had how many possessions?
10 offensive positions.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's teams are trying to limit our possessions, and we're trying. I think some of that too. What I'm wondering is
it
the clock? The new clock rule, is that causing some of this?
I think so, because
I think it is. I think it's causing, because I'm watching the game. I was like, "Holy cow! The first quarter's over already." It's just, I mean, the first and the third quarters are flying by because the clock just goes. So, it's definitely, I think, making a bit of a difference. And I just wanted to bring that up because it's not something we talk about a lot, and I don't think a lot of you are talking about it. But
and I don't think it's a positive one either.
No, I don't think so either.
You're taking a lot. And I wonder what the true number is going to be, because I've heard anywhere between 12 to 16 possessions away a game.
I would hope that at the end of the whole college football season, and look at all the different levels from D3, D2, FCS, FBS, and see how it affected it versus the number of possessions and stuff, because I'm sure it did. And if they do that and actually see that, maybe they'll make a change again and change back.
I don't think they're going to make a change. This is all done because of money.
I know it is.
It's all driven by money, because you want to shorten it so people can watch more. Well, you're pushing out a lot more commercials.
I will say, I feel like the replay has sped up with the little TV that they just set there and they can see it instantly. I feel like has helped. So that's one thing I'll give them. I like that. But this not stopping the clock on first down, I don't agree with it. But what the heck do I know?
Yeah,
the money is what makes the world go around. So.
Exactly. Wide receiver, guys, we kind of went over that. Trent Tompkins is their leading receiver with 29 receptions, 197 yards, 1 touchdown. And then you've got Josh, I can't Josh Gale with 15, and then CJ Hutton with 17 receptions apiece. So, they're all kind of even in that kind of realm over there with receptions. Josh Gale is going to have more touchdowns with 4, and Trent Tompkins and CJ Hutton will both have 1 touchdown.
And they were throwing the ball to the running back, that Larson, also.
Yeah, they were.
13. So,
yep.
Let's hope that he's not playing. Not that somebody hurt, but it would help us out if that kid wasn't playing.
Man, he hit a hole in that Eastern Washington game where no one they were so lucky to catch him. He just pulled off a 65-yard rushing big gain, and I was like, holy cow, that guy is good. I don't want to deal with him.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what we do. Their defense, they've got a couple of guys, a DB, Rex Connors, who's their leading tackler with 36 tackles, 1 tackle for loss and an interception. Their next 2 guys are linebackers. Today, Buchanan, 30 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 interception.
7, 15, and 4 are their studs on linebacking quarterback.
Yep. So and then Evan Tattersall has 1 sack as well, so 25 tackles.
And then what I was watching too on the D line, number 92. Let's see if I got his name here. I can't remember his name, but Chubba May. Chubba.
Nice. Chubba.
That boy is 6'2", 347. He looks like a small
6'4", 347.
6'2", 347. He is a big old boy. And he is going to just try to stuff us up the middle. He plays nose.
Jeez.
He plays the one technique on either side, basically, and is just going to try to stuff things and let those linebackers that we were talking about go.
Wow.
Like what Governor does and what our defense, we let him get him free. He's a big boy, and
good Lord,
our our guards and center are going to have their work cut out for him. So,
wow,
Forbes and Grimsrud, and we'll see who's playing the other guard. If it's McGinnis or whoever it is, they just he's a big old boy, and so it'll make me. I'm curious to see if we'll try to run up the gut at him or not, or if we're going to try to do some more outside run plays, because as we were just talking, we like to run the ball a lot. So
yes, we do.
It'll be interesting with that big old boy up there. He's good too. He's athletic. From the plays I watched, I mean, he can move around well. So,
And then also it's something that is not being talked about. Their punter Justin Dwinnell is averaging about 41.93 yards on their punt.
So he's flipped the field real nice for him.
Yeah, and then their field goal kicker is 7 of 8. Hunter Ridley. He's 3 for 3 for 20 to 29 yards, 2 for 3 from 30 to 39 yards, and he's 2 for 2 for 40 to 49.
Wow.
So something that we could, probably look at and keep an eye on.
Yeah.
But Luke, what are your keys of the game? What are you looking at? And then I'll kind of see what you say, and I have some down too.
So the big thing I think we talked about earlier is playing up to this opponent. Like we need to go down there and have that confidence that Bobby had in that team in 2018 or 19 when we went down there last time, and we were the underdogs. Like everybody thought we were just going to get stomped, and we didn't stop it. So I'm hoping that our offensive line needs to protect the quarterback, whether we're passing or running. They need to just get there. We need the O-line to just have their best performance of this year. And then if we do that and can keep our defense on the sideline and get sustained drives, that's going to just be huge for us. The last thing we need is a bunch of 3-and-outs and our defense out there all day having to deal with Hastings and stuff. The more we can keep their offense off the field, just like any game, the better we're going to be.
Yeah.
So, containing 92 and those linebackers is going to be huge. So that's why I think Clifton's going to start, but we might see a lot of Sam too, because I think we can expose the pass, and so I'm just interested to see what we do there.
Yeah, I agree with you with just getting a pressure on him too is going to be really important with this QB, with being able this year that he's been turning over the ball and not keeping track of it, and also just with they're down a lineman, that they're starting a freshman. It's going to be really important to get pressure on him and get that turnover margin that we can, and get those extra possessions like we were talking about earlier that are going to be really important in this game, playing a game at home. And like we said, also just playing up to that competition where we're going to have to prove it. We're going to have to show that we can play up against these guys. So I think those are the keys to the game is limit big plays, get some pressure on them, and take advantage of what they're giving us, because I think that they're going to key in on the run. And I hope that they kind of see that and kind of say, okay, well, we need to get into some passing. Well, if it's Clifton and going short passes, or if it's Sam doing what he does.
They were keying so hard on Clifton, we were getting 9 in the box, and then we started letting him throw. And when you get that many in the box, you can go with your first options. They're probably going to be open, especially with the receivers we have. So
possibly even maybe running Clifton in the backfield with a running back and having Sam as QB, which I think could be beneficial for us as well.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't it? See have Clifton and Eli in the backfield, and have Sam as the quarterback, and see what you can do.
Yeah, that might make things interesting, because Clifton, he runs hard.
Yeah,
he's a big kid and runs hard. So that the coaching staff knows that we have to get this win. Like, this is.
If we don't get this,
the season's on the line here, playoff chances, all that stuff's on the line. We need to get this. I mean, I'm sick and tired of going on Twitter and seeing all these media voters and stuff. They don't even have the Griz on their top 25.
No,
like, it's hard to find us on the top 25. Yes, right now
there are some that we are
some, but a lot of ones that I know and talk to and have banter with don't have us on there at all. Coaches poll, we're 13th this week. Media poll, we're 17th. So a win against Davis will prove it to a lot of people. Like, okay, the Griz still are decent enough that maybe they need to be ranked and stuff. It's going to help us. We have to win to help our future. We got to take care of these guys.
Well, and I think that's going to be something that, like, if we don't get this win, you're going to then have to switch one of those other games, 3 games that you need to get.
Like we said, we got to go 2-2.
Idaho.
I got 2-2 against Davis, Idaho, Cats, and Sac. So if for some reason this didn't go the way we wanted to, we got to win 2 of the other ones for sure, if not 3.
Yeah.
And then what does that do for your, because we got 2 road games back to back here, Davis and the Vandals. So we get this road win that can sometimes build your confidence going to the next one and propel you into that. So a lot of our future starts here. That's why we need to get this win, just to kind of keep us on that right track and get us at 5-1 and feeling much better about things.
Yep, exactly. Did you have? We can go into predictions. Let's do fan questions first, and then we'll go into our predictions. Did you have any fan questions?
I did not. No.
Okay. I know Michael Kemper reached out to me, a friend of the podcast, and he had that question. The last couple of years, it seems that we play down to our 2 lesser opponents. Let's see here. Do you think we are able to play up against opponents, or is that something that we're just seeing these last couple of years? I think that's kind of what you see the last 2 years. Do I think that it can? Yes. Have I seen it? I haven't seen it until probably. And then it's kind of hard because you have to kind of look at the opponent, right?
Yeah. I mean, last time we played Davis down there, we played up to him.
Yeah. That was 2018?
Yeah, I think it was 19 actually.
19.
I mean, so that was a long time ago if you think about it. But
we had was that this last year for Sneed?
Yeah. Well, no.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I mean, and then like there's times like last year I felt like we were playing up and then someone would get hurt or something else would happen. It's just the other time I think that we was against Sneed when Weber came into the Griz and they were ranked above us, and we
beat them.
We
obliterated them.
Yeah, and then we went and lost to them in the playoffs. But when they came there, we played up to them. So I think we have the ability to do it. We just need to do it.
Well, and if you go into Bobby's stint with away games, I believe he's 13-13, right?
Yeah, so that's right.
If you look at 2 home games, you split those home games and go 14-14. You've got 2 home games against Sac State and the neighbors that you're going to have to get one of those.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad we're playing both of those 2 teams in our house. That's
exactly.
But we got to get one of these 2 road games now between Davis and Idaho. I'd rather go ahead and just get this Davis one.
Yep.
Because I mean, realistically, Idaho's better than Davis.
We don't match up well with Idaho. They've got
we match up a lot better with Davis. That's for sure.
Yes. Idaho has a passing that we're just prone to. We're prone to passing teams, and so that's gonna hurt us. But let's go into Griz. Here we go. UT Griz fan. As mentioned, bare minimum for Bobby, this staff to be retained, and due to the current bleak outlook, when looking at the schedule, are there any names we should start looking at? Wait for the staff to finish out season, and how best candidate available should be taken priority, even if they have no previous Montana connection. That's his first question, but
sure.
If they go that route and this is just my feelings, you've got to wait till you can start thinking about that until we can't make the playoffs. Now we're all probably thinking about what's going to happen. I think if we don't make the playoffs and Coach Haug's not retained, I feel like we kind of need a change in the leadership where we are not getting somebody that is used to what Montana has been. And I know people are going to be like, well, what about Stitt was that? Well, yes and no. I want a national search.
Yeah.
Let's take an example.
I mean, he kind of had some ties, but
yeah. I just think that we need to get younger blood in there where we change some things up, but also we've got to change some other things up in the actual scope of things that are dealing with athletics, I think, and we can get that into another podcast.
Yeah.
Good question. Are there any candidates out there? There's a whole lot of candidates. You go to that's one thing. If you go to eGriz, you can go onto a little thing that says candidates, and there's a whole lot of candidates that are thrown out there.
That's why I stay off eGriz. But I mean, that Fair State coach after the game, he's like, "Is this how this is every week?" Shoot, Bobby retires. I'll throw my resume in. But I mean, people know about the Montana Grizzlies and what it's like here, and coaches want to coach in areas like this. So if for some reason at the end of the season Bobby's not retained, I agree with you. I think it needs to be a national search and see what kind of candidates we get out there, because the more exposure we get, people see what this place is like. That's why I'm so glad that we're going to get some of these games on. Well, I guess the ESPN2 game is going to be up at the Kibbe Dome.
Yeah,
shithole. But the good thing is we are getting with ESPN Plus a lot of exposure. I know there's a lot of college football fans that love ESPN Plus so much that during the week they're watching all the other games that they missed. And so by doing that, we're getting some of that more exposure and stuff, and could be advantageous for us to get some fresh blood and a new coach. So if that were to happen and we got a new coaching staff, I still think you got to retrain somebody as a coach coming in. You try to just so you get the culture, what it's like here. So here's mine. I would love to see us keep Ronnie Bradford, and maybe Justin Green, and Keaton. Those 3 right there, just for that, so you have a little bit of what the tradition is and stuff before the new person comes in. Because I mean, I think about like when my head coach when I started was Mick Delaney, or Mick Dennehy, sorry, Mick Delaney, Mick Dennehy. So Coach Dennehy leaves to go to Utah State. Not everybody went with him. Most of them did, but like our D line coach Lance Robinson, he stayed, and then Chad Shermer stayed in the offensive. I think that was it. Those two.
Yeah.
Everybody else went with Mick, and so, but Joe Glenn coming in kept those, so that way you got a little bit of people of knowledge what's going on and stuff before just that way you're not just dumping the whole thing and it's brand new. You got some insides and stuff. So
yeah,
no matter what happens, I think that we'll still have a few that would stay or they might try to keep. But that's like you said, we can do a whole pot on that.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure,
first, let's go beat Davis.
Exactly, and I'm sure we'll have those podcasts if it comes to fruition of what's going to happen. His second question, with how poor the offense has looked, trying to ram it down people's throats, and the little bit of success we saw with motion and other tweaks, should we implement a triple option style rushing attack series of plays to take advantage of McDowell and good running backs and a weak O-line to try to help the offense?
So I was talking to Shay,
who's
one of our fans of the pod.
And
he's like, I think RPOs are our new offense. I don't think we need to run the damn triple option. But
no,
if we have McDowell in there, we need to just constantly run RPOs because he's such a threat to run, and then it's going to help open up the pass too, which we saw this last weekend. They're going to put 9 in the box, and that'll open up for him to get the ball and distribute around to people like Bergen and Fonts. So
yeah, I don't know. I just don't think that running the ball. If you look at the stats, we're only getting 3.4, 3.5 rushing play. I don't think that you can withstand that, and that was with lesser teams. We're going to start playing some better defenses, and that's going to go down.
Yeah. I'd like to see our offensive staff take what the defense gives us rather than going, we're going to do this because that's for the Grizzlies and that's what we're going to do. Yeah. Screw that. Take what the defense is going to give you and do that.
Exactly. Get it into your playmakers' hands and not just run the same play 5 different times and different. Yeah, it's gonna drastically change with better defenses.
Yeah.
And that's coming up real quick. So yeah, I don't think you do the triple option. I agree with you, Luke, that maybe the run pass option a little bit, but I also think that we've got to be able to throw it too to keep them honest.
Yeah.
Oh no. Okay, I think this is a Cat fan. Oh, Cats are back. What's the bare minimum Bobby has to do for a contract extension? Is the bare minimum different in the eyes of fans versus Haslam? Ooh. If the Griz lose the rest of the games but beat MSU, would the Griz fans be happy? No, I wouldn't.
So
because if we lost all of our games, we're not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Even if we beat MSU, what does that prove? That we beat the Cats and we're still staying at home at if we don't make the playoffs.
I think there's a big contingency of Griz fans out there that feel like he's got to make the playoffs and beat the Cats.
Oh yeah.
If that doesn't happen, both, I mean, that they're ready for him to be gone. So,
where are you at with that?
I don't know. I just want to beat Davis.
Yeah.
That's all I really care about right now. It's beat Davis. Now, I will say, like, I can't stomach losing to the Cats again.
No.
And damn it, I keep saying I'm going to be at that game. And my daughter's never been to a Griz Cat game. She's going to be there for the first one in person. So we have to win that damn game.
Exactly.
But before we get there, like I said, we got to beat Davis first. So that's, I think, my biggest priority right now is beat Davis. And,
Well, in that second question, it says that is the bare minimum different in the eyes of the fans versus Haslam? I have no clue what Haslam's thinking. And I'm not.
I don't know either because, I mean, We have more. So think about, we have more season ticket holders we ever had, right?
Exactly, which doesn't make any
the,
sense.
the look is like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
We have more QB club members we ever had. So the money's rolling in.
exactly.
So
Yeah,
if all that money coming in, if we're following the money, like most schools follow the money, you figure it out. Bobby'd have a contract already, and we haven't
yep,
heard anything about him signing a contract or anything
yep.
like that. So it's, I don't know.
But the same thing is though, as if we have all this money coming in, we have the best, if not top 3 facilities in the nation in FCS. All this money in all these facilities hasn't done anything.
Well,
It hasn't given us a Big Sky title. It hasn't given us a semifinal appearance. It's given us quarterfinal appearances.
The money, though, just so everybody realizes, doesn't just pay for football.
No,
it pays for every other sport.
Yeah,
it helps pay for the new buildings you see going up.
Yep.
Like if you look back when 95 to 01, and even in Bobby's first tenure, we got all sorts of renovations going on campus and buildings going up because that money pays for everything else. So, yeah. But you're right. It hasn't resulted in a Big Sky Conference championship in a long time.
Yeah, and so there comes a point, comes a tipping point where fans are going to start saying it's not worth the money. And to say that they're not true fans, that's not fair.
I heard that a lot this last year because people were saying how there's all these new GSA, things they got to pay and things like that, and like people are already starting to murmur like, okay, when's enough's enough? Where because you look at other FCS schools that it's way less money to have season tickets.
Oh yeah.
In fact,
I've even heard some fans say, "Hey, well, let's just sell the rest of our tickets so that we can get back our season ticket money for next year."
That's interesting.
So,
this is how cheap other schools are. So, USD, who just beat North Dakota State this weekend, right?
Mm-hmm.
The last time the Griz went to USD in Vermilion and played him, I went to that game, and one of the guys I was sitting next to, we were talking about, because we were worried, hey, we're working on half their stadium, right? So all the Griz fans were worried about getting seats. And I was like, oh, how'd you get your ticket? He goes, yeah, I bought season tickets. I'm like, what? He goes, they were like $150 for season tickets. I was like, holy cow. Yeah, he goes, they were so cheap. So after the game, he found a USD fan and was like, hey, do you want tickets to the rest of the games this year after we'd beaten them? They're like, really? He's like, yeah, you can just have them. So, like, you think about that. There's so many other schools that don't charge what we do. But, I mean, against supply and demand, people want to come to our games because it's a Griz game. It's fun. But if we start losing, like, and just keep having these seasons where we're just, we make the playoffs, but we're not winning Big Sky Conference championships, that's going to start falling off. And that's when you start having problems. So.
Well, and that's what, it comes that tipping point. And when is that going to happen? That where backers and stuff are not going to start doing that. I think the what's the family, the Washington family?
Yeah,
I think that they've done amazing stuff. They've got to be to probably their tipping point of what they're going to be giving, where they've given a lot. So it falls to the normal average Joes, where inflation is real right now. People are struggling right now. I don't think you can just pass that finance off to the fans. And right now, to be honest with you, let's say if you look at the other team in the state, you've got to also look at who's winning the state.
Sure.
And if you look at the average, problem, and I would love to see this, what's the average age of a Griz fan and a neighbor fan?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I feel like our fan base is getting older and their fan base is maybe even getting younger or staying the same. There comes a tipping point where we're not winning the state.
That's a good question. I have no idea. I do know this. Most of the Cat fans that I meet in my travels and stuff never went to school there.
Really?
Yeah. The majority of them I meet, they'll be like, oh, their little chant they like to say. And I'm like,
yeah.
What, did you go to school there? No, but they're the good team right now. I'm like, oh, so you're just,
It's a bandwagon.
A lot of them.
Okay.
Yeah, that's who I mainly run into out there, it seems like. And yeah, I just hate talking about those guys anyway. So
bandwagon kitty fans.
But I mean, I really think, you know, it all starts with I don't even want to see us go there. Like, let's just go down and beat Davis and start righting this ship, and then we don't have to worry about all that crap, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I'd really like to see. And then, you know, who knows? You know, people are like, some people think, you know, Bobby should be done. Well, that's fine. Maybe he will be done after the end of this year. But let's go win a playoff game, or, you know, make a run of the national championship or something like that, and then he can right off into the sunset. So,
yeah. You hope that, you know, the senior class, you know, they've done so much, and they've worked extremely hard, that you wish them luck, and you kind of want what's best for them. And you know, not trying to root against anybody, but at the same time, I know there's a lot of people out there that are tired of what the so-and-so, what it has been. It hasn't been up to the standards of what the Griz are used to.
And we do have a higher standard. In fact,
Yep.
at Idaho State account that I enjoy on Twitter, the Jungle, put out a little meme this week of a bus, one facing the cliff and one facing the sunshine, and it shows 1 and 4 ISU smiling facing the sunshine, and 4 and 1 Griz facing the cliff, all sad. And it's amazing how many people like are retweeting that and stuff, because a lot of people look at us and say we're spoiled Griz fans, but the thing is, it's not we're spoiled. It's just that we expect to win, and we expect better out of our pro football program. And I don't think we should expect less. It's been that way, and that's, I mean, the pride and tradition of Montana Grizzlies. You know, we don't entrust it to the weak. So we need to go out there this weekend and show them exactly what the hell we're talking about.
Exactly. Hit them in the mouth so they know what's going on, man. It's do or die time. This is must-win situation all the way out, and we got to treat it like that. So all right, let's get into some predictions, man. I got my prediction. Are you ready for your prediction?
Yeah, I've had it written down since before we started.
All right.
I always want to make sure I write it down so people aren't like, "Oh, you guys are too close" or whatever. So I did go to the Versus app and got that too already.
Oh, awesome! So we are tied. We nixed the Ferris State one because that was a horrible one.
Yeah.
I won barely. The Northern Arizona one.
Yep.
And then the Utah Tech one. You won the Butler, and you won last week against Idaho State. And so we're tied 2-2.
Nice.
My UC Davis, I say 24-21 Griz.
Holy Jesus. I wrote it down before. So you had 24-21 Griz?
Yeah.
I've got 24-20 Griz.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
So yeah.
You're right there. And so here, the Versus app has us losing.
Really?
23-15. Even though they have us ranked higher, our rank in the Versus app is 15 right now, and I think Davis is a 20.
Okay.
So, I think we need to. That app's been wrong all freaking season. So let's go prove that app wrong again. And obviously, you and I are on the same page in this one. We're thinking it's a really tight game.
Holy cow!
Yeah. Wow.
Wow, that was not planned by any means. We don't talk to each other.
Here's my little pad. I write things down on beforehand. I wait to write yours in after, you know, that way we're not we don't know who's picking what. So
that's
I had a feeling too. I was like, I have a feeling our scores are going to be close this week, so I want to make sure I write it down way ahead of time. And we're on the same page, obviously. Thinking
exactly. Well, guys, you know, we can't thank you enough. That this is a great time that I know I look forward to, and I know Luke, you look forward to every week. We really appreciate people listening.
I want to say thank you, because we had some nice comments this week. That like I said, I don't go on eGriz, but Adam was sharing me a few things that people are writing stuff. And we really, I mean, makes us feel good that people actually enjoy this, because, you know, you always wonder, people listening to this, they listen to it laughing, going, "Look at these two idiots," or they listen to it going, "Yeah, these guys are pretty good," you know, these guys. So
probably a little both.
There probably is a little bit of both, but I want to just say thank you to everybody that does listen. We do appreciate it.
Exactly. Like always, rate, review, and subscribe to us. That really helps us out, get us out there. And yeah, again, like kind of what Luke was saying, we can't thank you enough. The nice comments. And we are glad that you're here listening to us. And another week, hopefully we're on here again and saying, man, that was a good win.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Until next week, guys. Go Griz.
Yeah, go Griz. Beat Davis.
That's right.